So we are live in here with Mr. Brandon Clark. Brandon, where are you calling in from today?
Right outside Nashville, Tennessee. So just south, about 20 minutes south, actually.
Awesome. No, well, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really wanted to bring you in specifically because I heard your story live personally at an event. I met you in person. We've connected online. You inspired me. You put a fire on my behind to take action every single day, no matter what, with no excuses. And for a lot of us, or a lot of people that I've talked to, when they embark on this journey of impact, when they embark on something that they want to achieve and like some big goal, you'll always get stuck. And there's usually two places people get stuck: with overwhelm, like there's too much, too everywhere, don't know where to move, or they just get stuck because they're afraid to take action and they never do anything and they lack motivation. And I kind of want this to be like a motivational killer type talk, because like, I don't know if you believe in motivation, but you kick ass every single day. Tell us a little bit more about yourself, what you do, and before we jump into that topic.
Yeah, so just a little bit about me. I'm in the e-commerce industry, been in it since, for over a decade now. Started way back when with Google and building backlinks and all that good stuff. And then started transitioning more towards Amazon and selling on there. Got that business, started with the family, took that business to 7 figures within a year. Wow. And then eventually took it on to 8 figures. But during the middle of that, I got hit with a bad battle of chronic pain, and I've been battling that, ever since. And that was, back in 2014.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I can go into detail in that if you want.
But you started the Amazon journey like in 12 or 13?
So yeah, we started the Amazon journey in 2013, right at the end of it.
Okay, and then the issue started in 2014.
Yeah. So it took off like within March of 2014. The Amazon business was, doing like 50,000 a month, already. We started hiring a bunch of people, and it just grew from there. And within that, it grew to, pretty much within 7 figures, almost within that first year.
Wow.
And then, there in September of that, I was training for a bodybuilding competition, working out like crazy all the time, like 2-3 times a day, lifting crazy weight. And so during a deadlift session, my back, just something happened and it put me down. And then from there, I went from doctor to doctor to doctor, trying to figure out, what was wrong, why the pain wouldn't go away, things like that. Nobody could figure it out. And, you've heard the story, and it's a very long story. So, just shorten it up.
It's a very important story though. It's really important.
Yeah, it really is. It's life-changing for me.
Yeah.
On a lot of different factors. But, I went through multiple doctors. I went through some of the best here in Nashville, Tennessee, like world-renowned, doctors and some things like that. But, they put me through, multiple physical therapy treatments. I went through multiple rounds of injections and things like that. All kinds of different treatment options, and nothing was working. All right. Doctors, I had multiple doctors just straight up say, I have no clue. They're like, I give up, like
Huh.
And so when a doctor says, I give up, like, you're like, all right, it's hard for you, right? But, keep on going and, trying to figure out something. But yeah, I've been through 9 different doctors. The last one that I came to though was a lead orthopedic here in Nashville, and they're the doctors for the Tennessee Titans, the Nashville Predators, or they were. I don't think they're no longer that, but at the time they were. And so, I'm like, hey, if, these multi-million-dollar athletes trust their bodies with them, then, I know I'm in good hands.
Yeah.
And sat down with the doctor. On multiple occasions, we looked at everything, Eastern medicine and Western medicine, because I've done it all. And we looked at every option on the table, even moving to other states right, to get other treatments.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, like great doctor. And we came down to the conclusion. Well, let me back up real quick. Sorry.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
It's so long, it's kind of crazy for me to remember. But I had a doctor diagnose me with degenerative disc disease. So between my L4 and L5, it was just no disc at all. It was straight bone on bone, just rubbing all day long. And then it was starting to, deteriorate above and the bottom of, that too. So a couple of doctors said, hey, there's nothing to do surgery on. I didn't want to do surgery, right? That's always like that last resort. And so this is on into pretty much the beginning of 2016. So January, maybe February. And, we were sitting there and he's like, hey, I think, fusing these together is going to be the best option. That's going to be like a 60%, it's about a 60% chance that it's going to work. Mm-hmm. And at the time, that sounded like a 600% chance. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, we went through in March, a couple of weeks later, I was in the hospital having spinal fusions, and I did a whole 360 fusion, which means they go in from the front and the back.
So surgery on the front and surgery in the back.
Yeah, so I went in on a Monday, and it was like a Monday at 1 o'clock for my first surgery. And they went through the front, took my vertebrae, put a titanium disc in there, put some plates and rods and screws. And then Tuesday morning at 7 o'clock, I was back in another surgery, and they flipped me over and did the same thing on my back. So I had two major surgeries, not even within 24 hours.
Yeah, back to back.
Yeah. And then that day, you're up walking, they're making sure that they didn't mess anything up.
Wow.
And that was challenging in itself. Right. So yeah, went through that, came out of it, and the pain, is still there, and it's actually spread since then. Mm-hmm. There's some, I'd say some wires got crossed in there. Mm-hmm. I got neuropathy going on pretty bad with, my left leg. And the pain's kind of just spread through the hips and, kind of moving up the back, because your body's having to, adjust for that fused area.
Yeah.
It's not natural. So it's having to do a lot of compensating across the board. So yeah, that's taken off. And, all during this, we're still building the business, having to do all that.
Wow.
And gone through, crazy stuff. Like,
well, let's just pause for 1 minute.
Yeah.
You did all that while the business was growing.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so I was in the hospital working from the hospital bed.
What? I don't
remember it. I honestly. It was, yeah, like 2 months later, I'm like, who built this funnel? And they're like, you did. I'm like, when did I do that? They're like, from your hospital bed. But yeah, I was still working while I was, recovering. It was kind of, I'm not going to say fun, because it was horrible pain, right?
Yeah.
The whole time. But I had March Madness on, and apparently I was working. So, I guess I was happy. But
chugging along every single day.
Exactly. Yeah. Nothing in the way.
Wow, that's incredible, man. Why did you want to work? Was it just to relieve, put your mind on something else, or did you have an attachment to something bigger that you wanted to build?
It's kind of both, right? I think I lean more on it now to kind of get my mind away and focus on it.
Okay.
But yeah, back then I think it was, there's a lot to do. I think that company, we grew too quick and was moving at a speed that was just too crazy. Yeah. Right. So there's always something going on and something that had to be done.
Some instability.
Yeah. So it's more of that too.
Yeah.
Just having to keep things trucking along, and
which can sound like a good problem to some, right? Hey, we're growing too fast. Hey, things are breaking. But that's really not, how I teach people is that really growth isn't a J curve. You know how you always want to scale up at like a J curve and just like continue to grow rapidly. Yep. But I think that growth should be like a step. So you grow, build, foundation, step, build, foundation, step.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It really is. And ours, pretty much went straight up and down. It would, yeah. So, and that was kind of Amazon too, right? Everything was taken off. It was one of those hot products that we started with. And so it was a trending product as well. Mm-hmm. Right? So we caught that trend right at the beginning.
Dang.
And really took off. Yeah.
Wow. So you mentioned that right now you're still living with pain constantly. And that is that like periodic, or do you know how to time it, or is it just random?
No, it never goes away.
Okay.
Like since that day that I was deadlifting, I have not had a pain-free day.
Wow.
Like on a scale from 1 to 10, my best day has probably, I don't know, probably been a 3 or 4.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
Wow.
I
Okay.
live in the 5 to 8 range. That's like
Oh,
my
wow.
daily where I stay. Like today, like I'm pretty much about an 8 right now.
Wow.
But it's, yeah, it doesn't get easier to deal with, but, over time you learn how to deal with things a lot better, get your mind right around it.
It's pain management at that point.
Yeah, yeah. Because before, an 8 would have put me down and I wouldn't have been able to walk. I'd be crying, that kind of thing. And now, I'm able to go about my
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
first of all, I mean, that's huge. That's why I wanted to, honestly, I thanked you in the beginning. I'll continue to thank you throughout just for being here. And the second is that really like you're still doing what you need to do to move forward.
Yep.
And that's kind of like the big message that I wanted. That's why I brought you on, because you motivated me to focus on what's the most important things I need to do each day. Because I don't know, because you mentioned that you might have 30 minutes a day to work or
Mhm.
5 hours a day to work,
Yep.
but you're still pushing through. So can you talk about like if there is such thing as motivation, or if it's just willpower around that aspect?
Uh, I do think there is motivation for some people and a little bit of an aspect, right? Like, music gets me a little bit motivated, but it could only do so much,
Mm-hmm.
right? It could, like, it's a trigger more than it is actual motivation.
Yeah.
For me, the motivation is the why behind it, right?
Okay.
Like this picture back here, that's my vivid vision, right? Like that's the next 3 year vision. I see it every single day.
I love it.
And so I know where the business is going. It might take a while to get there,
Yeah.
right? But I see that big long term vision, and that's actually what motivates me to get things done every day. You know,
Okay.
having that vision, having that why, I think is the most important part.
I completely agree with you. Not to say that motivation is dead. It's just like I feel people fall into the trap believing
Yeah.
they lack that when it's actually something else. And I think what you just pointed on, can you teach us a little bit more about the vivid vision?
Yeah. So that is a book written by Cameron Held.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty much, get a 3 year plan and just have that vision, put it out there. So you're writing it. All right, in 3 years from today, how you feel, right? So my company is doing XYZ. We're doing this in the community. This is a culture we've built. And that's, the whole process behind it. And then you have that where you can see it, you put it out there for your, the clients or your customers to see, and everybody knows why you're doing something,
Mm-hmm.
and they can get behind you and really grow something special.
And I believe that a lot too. It's like it's the back of your brain. Like when if you buy a red car or you talk about red cars now, you're trying to find red cars in
Yeah.
the environment. It's the same thing. Except you're focusing. If I want to do X, Y, and Z, then now you're focused your peripherals or your to see those specific things that'll help you for that specific outcome. And then
Yeah.
now when you come into an environment, you're able to take those things or take those opportunities to help you and others achieve that goal.
Yeah, it really is. Like I don't know, it's very powerful and people underestimate it too,
Yeah.
right? Because when you see that, like the little days, are a little bit, or the harder days are easier to get through when you have that vision too.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're like, all right, I know I didn't do as good today or this went wrong. But when you see it, you're like, all right, 3 years is a long time away. I still got a lot of time to catch up, So I like the way it
It's structured that way.
Yeah, yeah.
And then how does that translate? So 3 years is like can be daunting for some, right? Some
Yeah.
people don't even know what tomorrow looks like. So how do you break that down? No, seriously. How do you break that down into small daily actions?
So even though I have that big long-term vision, I
Mhm.
still look like 3 months is like the most I'll plan out at a time because things
Okay.
change so rapidly, especially, with digital marketing and the e-commerce industry.
Yep.
And like we're on Amazon too. So anything Amazon does,
To change.
then hey, we have to pivot, right?
Yep.
So don't like to plan out too far ahead, but take it in small chunks, right? So I look one quarter at a time, and then I'll break that down into my goals. So if it's growing our product line of 20 products, just kind of do the reverse math and work our way back.
Mm-hmm.
And then we break those down into quarterly goals, and then break those down into monthly and then weekly. And then I have my days, structured out where we're all working towards, those specific goals.
So let's say today's Monday. So today you worked on marketing, product, and then admin all in one day, or do you separate each per day?
So I separate, so like on Mondays, it's all about marketing, getting ads up, things like that. Tuesday, we do kind of more of our PPC dives. So look at every paid channel across the board, keep our mindset on that. Wednesdays is more about product management.
Okay.
Making sure that things are running right. Listings are, on Amazon are looking good. Same with our website, no issues. Thursday is all about reviews and testimonials, content blasts like emails and things like that. Mm-hmm. And then Friday is kind of that catch up and do all the admin.
Oh, that's cool. It's like a buffer. It's like a buffer day.
Yeah. Gretchen Rubin has in her book called The Happiness Project, she has a thing called the Power Hour.
Okay.
And so every Friday, say between 3 and 4, you schedule your Power Hour. Okay. And that could be anything that you just didn't get to, or anything that keeps, getting pushed down your to-do list. Like, I'll get to it one day. Right?
I like that.
That's a good time for that. So I kind of implement that in a way. I don't do just a straight Power Hour. I kind of do like a Power Day. And it's just more of, finance reviews and things like that. And yeah.
So it's a thematic week, and then the Friday is the whatever didn't catch up. That's kind of cool. And then if you have nothing Friday, you just enjoy the day.
Exactly. But usually I, fill it in with something, which is bad. I don't recommend
We always find that.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're not careful. We're always working.
We do. Like, luckily I have an office, separate that I can go to, in my home. But otherwise I'd always be in there working, but.
Which is fair. Yeah, no, I hear you. So the pain is still here. You're focusing on the vision. You have your week spread out via a theme where you can get to, and you also have a buffer. So you're planning ahead for, those 1 or 2 days that you can't get to the things that are important.
Exactly. Yeah. And with the day, right? Like I have all the stuff that moves the business ahead. Like today is Monday. And that was all the marketing, right? So setting up new Facebook ads, things like that. Well, that's going to, push sales or push leads if you're in the service-based business, right? So having that, like that's the most important thing, is getting that revenue rolling in. Yeah. So every Monday, that's on my to-do list. I'm not going to do anything else until I, knock out that to-do list. I have inventory management on Mondays as well. Got to keep product in stock, to sell it. Yeah. So that's number 2. As soon as I get done with ads, I go straight on to that. And every day I have something like that, but they're all big pillars that move the business ahead and keep us on the goal. Okay. So I have a thing called the assembly line that I did with Amazon, and it's just launching new products and keeping things going in there.
So like your own internal process for that.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. And so every Friday is assembly line management, making sure that everything's, going great, but that keeps the wheels moving. There's other little tasks involved in there, but they're all spread out to their each individual days. Mm-hmm. So, I've been working on that for like probably about 2 years, been working off that kind of system, and it changes.
Like modify and evolve, right?
I've changed it for June because, June's a busier month for us. There's a lot of moving pieces and other things. So I had to go around and, change some things. And then come July, I can modify it again. Mm-hmm. But everything goes on there, from paying bills to, responding to emails,
anything you can think of is already, ironed out. So
exactly. That yeah. So it's like having your calendar all mapped out. Yeah. Right. You have it all booked in every little spot, but I don't run off a calendar. If you look at my calendar, it's completely empty. Nice. Besides, set meetings or coaching calls or things like that I have to do. Calendar is wide open. That way, if I wake up and I'm, on a 9 on the pain scale, I can take my time. And then whenever I get up, I can just go to that to-do list and work my way down,
And then also that translates for other people who don't, experience that. They could potentially be done with their day at 10, 11 o'clock a.m.
Yeah, for real. And there's days like that. I was done today by 10 o'clock with mine. I came in, it was 7:30. I actually sat down, started working, and was in just deep focus and just banged everything out really quick. And then I look up and I'm like, all right, I'm done,
That's awesome. Yeah, I love those days.
And then, that frees you up where, all right, if you want to go test some new stuff or, go make content for the rest of the day and get ahead.
Yeah.
You can do little things based on that. Or you can take the day because you've done everything that you needed to that mattered, right, to progress that business forward. Then you can take the day and, go hang out, go do that, work on a hobby, go do something creative.
But in order to get to that, you first need the discipline of having that mapped out for you. And then once you do, having the discipline of saying, I'm done with my day and I can continue moving forward, even if it is 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock,
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And that's where it comes, right? That discipline. You have to go back and check and make sure, that you're not getting off track, doing things that don't matter. I have a marketing backlog. So anytime I think of something, I just throw it in there. And then I can do that later. Yeah. Okay. That way I can stay on schedule and stay on track.
That's freaking awesome. I think you pretty much hit everything that this theme for the call was. So I just want to recap, honestly. So I never want to take away the fact that, you're in constantly, going through, pain, but you still are able to move forward every single day. Yeah. And I remembered your wife mentioned you never complain, which is huge in terms of like your ethic and your discipline and your focus. Like that's very noble. And then also you have this long-term vision to allow you to understand what you're going to be doing in 3 months, but also how I can break that day down into small little actions. And if I'm done at noon, I'm done at noon. Even those who work like a 9 to 5, they could potentially wake up and work at 6 till 7 and start a business on the side.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's still doable. So that's what I want to do and like inspire people to know that this is possible. And like the overwhelm or lack of motivation can be replaced by that vivid vision. Because that's a key takeaway. Like I'm going to read that book. And then also the power hour, right? Like having that buffer time. Like I didn't get to it this day. This is my buffer time.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like last year, we dissolved other businesses that we were part of, that 8-figure business. Wow. Right. So went on our own, started a new company last year and have grown that, to 6 figures within the first year. And it's, pushing for 7 figures by year 2. Wow. Nice. So, and still doing that, battling the pain, battling all this, but it's having that vision and then setting up a system to go out there and actually hit it, and just know that you can modify it, daily if you need to. Like, there's no one saying you have to do it a certain way.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the biggest thing I've learned. I was in an incubator during college for startups. And one of the biggest takeaways that the director mentioned is that when you're paving your own way, there's no one to look at. Like if you're trailblazing, it's never been done before.
Yep.
So you're finding your own way in the way that works for you and for the company to move forward.
Exactly. And 2, there's so many options out there, right? Like you mentioned at the beginning, how do you deal with overwhelm when there's so many different options out there? Well, that's, focusing on something and getting great at that one thing.
Yeah.
That goes back to like getting 1% better every single day at something. So if it's Facebook, right, or Facebook ads, every day just try to get better, 1% better with your ad. Eventually it's going to take off, right? It's going to work. You're going to get it dialed in. Same with like Instagram. People want to get their Instagram accounts up and things like that. You can't go out there and just get 100,000 followers. You have to do it one at a time.
Very true.
But going in and focusing on something and just getting really good at that. And then, building systems to match it.
Or habits that you can do every day.
Or habits. Yeah.
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 That's freaking awesome. Well, man, if anyone wants to reach out to you or follow you, what's the best way to get in touch?
Just go to brandonmichaelclark.com and you can find all the social media stuff there. Email me, whatever, all the contact stuff's on there.
Yeah, and his Instagram TV or your IG channel, every single day there's either something that's gonna push your buttons or make you work harder. So definitely check that out. Awesome, Brandon. Well, thank you so much, man, for being on.
Oh man, it was my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.